let's talk about something that affects all of us to one degree or another in our lives and in our singing: masking. Now, what do I mean by masking? Well, for those of you who don't know, I have what is now called ADHD, meaning that I am on the autistic spectrum and I have ADHD. A lot of people do not know that and are shocked to find that out, and it's because I've masked myself heavily in order to fit in and in order to not feel like an outsider. For a very long time, it really started when I was in college. And I used to think that that was a good thing. I used to think that it was like a badge of honor that I could fool people into thinking that I was not autistic and that I was not on the spectrum or whatever. I didn't have ADHD. And of course, come to find out through lots of growth and self-discovery and work on repressed emotions, work on how to release my voice by releasing these emotions within my body, I realized that we as singers mask in a lot of ways, oftentimes. All different types of singers. Why? Well, one reason is just imitation. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right? We imitate singers that we admire and that we like to listen to, and or we are in environments that demand us to conform to a particular style, a particular type of voice that is at that time the most popular. And what happens when we do that is that we eliminate the authentic signature of our voice and instead squeeze it into a box that we have told ourselves is more acceptable to other people around us. And I did this so much. When I first began singing, I was a mimic. I was really good at doing impersonations of other singers. So when I realized that I was getting positive attention and praise for my singing, I began singing styles of music that I knew were popular to the people around me, even if I didn't like them. One of them happens to be country. Now, there is a lot of country that I do enjoy, but when I was a teenager in the early 2000s, it was very patriotic, very, very post 9/11, and it's odd now that I think about it that it is 9/11 today. Post 9/11, very super patriotic country music, often sung by like Toby Keith, for instance. And I always felt off about it, but I would rather get that praise and attention and feeling that I was doing something, that was pleasing other people, than actually listening to the inside telling me that actually, no, I don't really like this music and I don't like the message it conveys either. So fast forward, and now I work with lots of students and colleagues who have expressed similar stories, whether or not they're on the spectrum, of feeling the pressure to contort their voice into one form or another, especially sometimes in choir. Now, don't get me wrong, I've sung in choir for many years in many different capacities, and I've loved it. But if you have a large voice like my own, when you are told to blend or that you are singing too loud in those kinds of environments, or you're singing with too much vibrato, if you really care about pleasing your director or about being a good musician, you really try to squeeze and narrow your sound to be really straight-toned and quiet to fit in and blend with the sound around you. And that, in turn, creates a lot of conflict, emotional and actually physical conflict that creates tension. And I have been undoing a lot of that tension as of late and relearning my relationship to choral music when I do sing in choral groups, because truth be told, my voice is meant to be singing with an orchestra. And I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just accepting the reality. I used to actually be ashamed of that reality. I was always worried about being too loud. And ironically, that's exactly what I needed to be doing, but I didn't discover that until I was in my 30s. You don't need to wait until your 30s to discover this. Whatever kind of music it is that you want to sing, understand that to sing your best, to sing with your heart, to sing with your soul, to sing in a way that will move others, that comes from a place of authenticity. It comes from enjoying what you're singing and feeling that your voice can fully open to whatever it is you're singing. And there's no need to gatekeep. I'm really getting tired of the idea that if your voice lends itself to one style more than the other, that you can and you should restrict yourself from exploring other styles, whether it's the opera singer that obviously sounds like an opera singer singing pop, or a pop singer trying to sing opera, whatever the style mixing may be. If it feels good to you and you want to do it, do it. And, there will always be critics, but it's important to stick to what's really true and what feels good to you as a singer. So please, please, please pay attention to the kinds of music that you sing and ask yourself, is this really music that I feel like I can express myself with and that feels good to my voice? Or is it something that I'm doing to uphold the expectations or to please another person? And really pay attention to your heart, because that is how your voice opens up, and that is how you will discover other ways in which your life and your voice will improve at the same time. Happy singing.